If you try to mob rule a car in Brevard County, gathering around it, refusing to let the driver leave, in our county, you're most likely going to get run over.
Yep, he accurately predicted the fate of the protesters. He must be a psychic. Welcome back to the JP Reacts channel, my beautiful freedom-loving friend. This is, in fact, where we call out lies, hypocrisy, and corruption to help spread the light of truth and freedom, because truth conquers. Now, if you haven't had your ear to the grindstone, the protesting Olympics are going on, and does that mean there's protests? Yes. Does that mean there's a lot of rioting and unlawful behavior? Yes, indeed. It worked so well in 2020. We're going to do it again in 2025. Let's get the same results. Let's defund the police. Why not defund the firefighters too? Let's defund paramedics. Nonetheless, recently we had a big organized, probably very well-funded protest called No Kings Protest. And in a minute, I'll share with you what I think these protesters did well. I think they've learned from mistakes of 2020. There's some things I think they did intelligently. One particular thing, I'll share that with you in a second. But first, we had some casualties. Now, protesting, that's covered by your First Amendment. You can do that. But it also turns out you can't do everything you want and just call it protesting. You can't block roadways. You can't surround cars and threaten drivers. And there were some, well, law-respecting people in Florida recently that said, hey, if you're doing that while protesting, you're going to get run over. And they tell their citizens, you can run them over. One of which was Governor Ron DeSantis. Here's him letting protesters know you probably don't want to play in traffic. I know you have the intelligence of a 2-year-old, but just so you know, probably don't play in traffic.
And we also have a policy that if you're driving on one of those streets and a mob comes and surrounds your vehicle and threatens you, you have a right to flee for your safety. And so if you drive off and you hit one of these people, that's their fault for impinging on you. You don't have to sit there and just be a sitting duck and let the mob grab you out of your car and drag you through the streets. You have a right to defend yourself in Florida.
Now that's Florida. But over the weekend at these radicalized protests, there were a couple incidences where drivers of vehicles felt very threatened, and they did some driving, even though people were in front of them. Now, I don't know what the law, how it's going to be upheld in California. I mean, it's lawless, but if you're an innocent person, the law is probably coming after you. So I don't know, legally speaking, how these people fared. But in the clip you're going to see, I'll tell you this. If I was in that car and I had my son in that car, how things play out in the court of law isn't the first priority in my mind. Keeping my son safe is a priority on my mind. So you'll see people start hitting and attacking this car, and there was a price to pay. That kind of made the driver feel threatened. Gentleman in back smacks the car with a foreign object, and away we go. Now, there's nothing funny about someone getting run over, nor is there anything funny about blocking traffic and threatening people. But this reaction is a little bit insane. Watch. Why that's insane is they were surprised that happened. You're standing in front of a car threatening the driver. Are you not a physics major? You didn't even bring a knife to a gunfight. You brought a human body to a fight with a car. Now that car, even though you're not a physics major, it's got more power than you. And I hope that person's safe, and if they're not, it's their own fault 100%. But it's just astonishing. People around them are like, we're surprised this happened. How could this happen? Are you serious? What the hell? And of course, I'm sure the leftists are spinning it like, wow, a crazy driver ran someone over. Do you not know what self-defense is? Are you allowed to just shoot someone? Yeah, if it's self-defense, legally you're allowed to. What you just saw was self-defense. Now, in Los Angeles, there was another physics major who didn't hear the warning from Ron DeSantis, probably because she heard encouragement from Gavin Newsom. See what happens in case number 2. And of course, the lady we're talking to is the one leaning against the red car, trying to stop it from moving. Now, right about here, you have to start wondering, is this going to be effective? I'm literally trying to stop this car from moving, impairing it when it's in traffic. Is there a mob surrounding the car? Yes, there is. Is there a mob of masked people that look threatening? Yes, there is. There's a mask. There's a megahorn. There's a creepy guy with goggles. He's probably on his way to Burning Man. Here's a guy with goggles and a mask on. Here's a guy wearing a mask on the back of his head. That's a genius. See how this goes. Go. Like, at what point in that whole scenario did she regret the decision? When she approaches the car, her mind's this is good idea, good idea, good idea. Car's trying to move, I'm trying to block it, good idea. Car's moving, I'm not blocking it, still a good idea. Okay, car's still. Probably right about here when her center of gravity is going backwards, she's like, damn, this is not a good idea. But luckily enough, you can see she stands up. By the way, she got ran over. It didn't look good. I'm surprised she can stand. Guy with a mask was holding her up. I don't know. Maybe they're gonna play Weekend at Bernie's with her. Now, if you say, JP, you are being heartless, you're enjoying seeing these protesters get run over, you'd be mistaken. I don't enjoy seeing them get run over. I enjoy seeing people execute self-defense when it's appropriate. I don't enjoy seeing these protesters put themselves in a situation where they're unlawfully blocking cars, threatening drivers, which then makes self-defense a very realistic card on the table. But if they're taken to the hospital with the correct gender conversion medical treatments, I think they're going to be just fine. That's medicine, ladies and gentlemen. We'll get back to the video in just a second, but first, have you seen the latest fluoride headlines in the water supply? Significantly scary. The future of oral care isn't fluoride. It's peptides. And the wellness company just launched the first ever peptide paste that regenerates gum tissue, strengthens enamel, and whitens your teeth. It's called Smile, a doctor-formulated breakthrough that works with your body's natural repair process. Its advanced formula blends targeted peptides with blue spirulina, aloe vera, and powerful remineralizers to boost blood flow, stimulate collagen, and help rebuild lost gum tissue. All while gently whitening without sensitivity. No fluoride, no peroxide, no artificial dyes. Just real and clean ingredients that fight bad bacteria so you can build a healthier mouth from the inside out. Are you ready to upgrade your oral health? Well, you get to experience the future of oral care with Smile and get 15% off plus free shipping. Head to twc.health/JPReacts and use code JPReacts. That's twc.health/JPReacts. Take action today for a healthier tomorrow. Now back to the video. Here's what President Trump said about these No Kings protests. A huge thank you to all the No Kings protesters yesterday. I was very concerned a king was trying to take my place, but thanks to your tireless efforts, I am still your president. Great job, all. That is some world-class trolling. Then if you just start thinking about the psychology of these No Kings protesters. For context, this is the psychology that says, moving car, good idea for me to be in front of. Imagine throwing a No Kings Day protest after your party refused to hold a primary, anointed Kamala without a single vote, and attempted to remove Trump from state ballots only after your illegal lawfare scheme failed, and potentially assassination schemes. Imagine that. Yes, we are the ones that don't want a king. Well, you are being an obedient servant. Who is your king? They don't have a face, just like whatever the news says. The deep state doesn't exist, and if they did, they're behind the curtain. I can't see that they are the king that I'm obeying, so there is no king. Where's a car I can get in front of? And similarly, Babylon Bee had this headline, Trump is a king. say people freely protesting in a free country. Yeah, they were freely protesting. They were also breaking some laws, which is not a protest. It's breaking a law that happens during a protest. Rioting, that's something that can happen during a protest, but it's not a protest. Now, before I tell you what I think these protesters actually did that was smart of them, here's a message from a Florida sheriff that I dare say if Gavin Newsom had a similar message, he would have saved some people going to the hospital with tire marks and broken legs and whatever else they incurred while someone in a car was exercising self-defense. Gavin Newsom, I think some shattered femurs are on your hands. Here's the Florida sheriff.
So I'm gonna break it down for you, all right? And if somebody wants to know what I mean by turn violent, all right, this is what I mean. If you resist lawful orders, you're going to jail. Let me be very clear about that. If you block an intersection or a roadway in Brevard County, you are going to jail. If you flee arrest, you're going to go to jail tired because we are going to run you down and put you in jail. If you try to mob rule a car in Brevard County, gathering around it, refusing to let the driver leave, in our county, you're most likely going to get run over and dragged across the street. If you spit on us, you're going to the hospital and in jail. If you hit one of us, you're going to the hospital and jail, and most likely get bitten by one of our big, beautiful dogs that we have here. If you throw a brick, a firebomb, or point a gun at one of our deputies, we will be notifying your family where to collect your remains at, because we will kill you graveyard dead. We're not going to play.
Now, before we see some footage of an actual protest and who's attending, here's what I think the protesters did wisely. They've made some improvements, not the physics majors in front of cars blocking traffic, and of course they're burning cars, burning buildings. That's fine. You got to have that. Is protest, baby. But compared to 2020, when they're going to protest, and even up until this point, all the other kind of protests that have been happening, thanks George Soros, we appreciate the funding and organization. That's a great pallet of bricks, by the way. Where you see pride flags at these protests, you see Palestinian flags at these protests, Ukraine flags at these protests. I drove by a No Kings protest this past Saturday. When I would read some of their signs, some of them were F Trump, some of them were No Kings, but I'd read some of the, okay, these are obviously like the leftist protests, okay, but what they did smartly, they had so many American flags. That is a good move. Protesters, if you're watching this, it is a smart move to have American flags. It makes you look more legit. Now, I don't believe in your I don't think your cause is legit. I think your cause is a radicalized thing that you have fallen for. That's my opinion. But your cause looks so much more legit while you're waving American flags and saying things that I think are just rather insane. Whereas if you're out protesting, you have your pride flag, Ukraine flag, Palestinian flag, it's like, well, you look like a domestic terrorist. You are actually against America. Now, these No King protesters, I think they've been tricked into being against America. Whoever sent out the instructional, take American flags with you, that was a smart person because they look way more legitimized. They at least look like they're for America while they're shouting about an agenda that's anti-American. So there is so much the protesters do that is insane. I have to call both sides like I see it. Credit where credit is due. The taking American flags with you, protesters, that is an up level. Now, here's a guy who captured actual on-the-ground footage of these protesters. Take a look.
Had to come check out the No King rally for myself, and I gotta tell you, larger crowd than I thought, and a lot more normal looking than a typical Democrat protest. Here, check it out for yourselves. Look at this crowd.
Sheep, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, let me know what you think about these radicalized protesters being run over in self-defense in the comments below, and I'll look forward to seeing you on our next video. But until then, probably a good idea to obey the law, stay out of traffic,